to order. Now start over. I'm Joanna Roach. I am calling the Contract Review Committee meeting to order. I'm taking the place of Dorothy Hertz today.
Put the date,
Today is June 14th, 2023. We have
3/13.
3:13. We have established a quorum. Members, when I call your name, please say in the affirmative. Veronica. Here. Sue. Here. Linda.
Here,
Okay. And staff member is present.
Here in attendance.
Jericho. Okay, before we get started, Dorothy has sent me something that she would like me to read into the record of our meeting today. Okay. This is from Dorothy Hertz, who is the chair of our committee. On Monday morning at 3:07 a.m., my family lost the greatest gift we all had ever received. My son, James Jonathan Topham. He became part of our family the day he arrived on a plane from Martha's Vineyard with a small bag, pilot's hat, and the most beautiful blue eyes I have ever seen. I fell in love with him that very moment, and he was my son from that moment on. I cannot tell you the deep and total love each and every one of us had for him. We learned the most valuable lesson God or whoever is out there wants all of us to learn, and that is love for a child is not forged because you had the gift of giving birth to that child, but because for some reason the universe decided he belonged in the hands and the heart of the chosen family. DNA does not always guarantee you family, love, expectance, understanding, compassion, forgiveness. That makes you a family. My children, Phil and I, along with so many within his world, have lost so much in his physical presence, but the way he filled our lives, souls, and hearts will never be forgotten or taken away. To any of you who did not have the distinct honor of having him for even a minute and a part of your life, we have lost one of the greatest gifts God ever created. While Jamie was learning how to not be afraid of being loved, it was described to him that a heart was like a balloon. You could slowly blow it up and it would not pop. Today, my heart slowly leaks, but it will never lose the space for him in it. In January, Jamie became a Nantucket firefighter, a dream he actually had from the day he first came into our lives, ironically on Henry's birthday. I always thought it was a gift from him. We will celebrate Jamie's life on his birthday, June 28th, here on Nantucket. If there is any lesson that I can say to all is that life is one of the most precious commodities, but a true family is the greatest. From Dorothy. I think we should just have a moment of silence for Dorothy and her family and for Jamie.
I feel that way about my foster kids. I was the only open foster family on Nantucket for years, and they took every one of them. But they're still my kids. They're just
Yeah.
my kids, and one's 30 now. We've been together 14 years.
Yeah, there's
16.
there's no distinction.
There's no distinction. If you're gonna take them on, you take them on like your real children. And she ended up adopting Jamie. Whereas I was gonna adopt my youngest one if I couldn't get him his green card and safe before that. So it's it means a lot when you have these kids and you take them on lock, stock, and barrel, really.
Yes.
I think that what we are doing here and what we've been doing the last few months it's important, but this really cements the importance. And I think we've all been dedicated, but I think that we're now on another level of making this happen and making it matter for Jamie and for all of our citizens.
Well, I mean, I think that
It
having,
wasn't drugs, but
no,
it's still, if somebody's in need.
yeah, I don't think we
Or
should.
somebody, it doesn't, but if somebody's in need, is what
Yeah.
we're talking about, somebody's in need, mental illness or some emotional support. That's what this whole thing is, this 175 is for, and that will drive it home. It's just not isolated to one particular problem, it's a general problem, especially that age group.
Well, I think that, we are looking at a community who's had 3 losses in a week, short time, in a week,
1 week.
1 week. So I hope that there are resources for all people who need support right now.
Well, the fire department chief. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he brought a tremendous amount of support in within hours. He had everybody in the station and we had the counselors coming down from Boston and grief counselors and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, it was an immediate response and that's what we need when we have crises here. Is we need an immediate response from somebody.
Actually, Jericho, because we are being recorded, can you basically for our community out there, explain some of the things that are happening and happened immediately?
Yeah, the pre-constructed timeline, is that the, when the crisis happened, if everyone's responded directly from a crisis point of view, had facilitators and family members and their immediate, for the people who were affected by it, as well as the police staff, the emergency department staff, and the fire department. And then there were specialist teams designed for post-prevention support, which have done through, I believe, accommodation department and mental health. And then in-house bearing, and then the week they also have resources associated with the firefighters, organizations.
Yeah.
Then we had a meeting with Fairlands, SCH, myself, and the Department of Mental Health from the state. About how to handle media outreach, what sort of programming is effective. And then they're now sort of expanded how we're, there's a bit of terminology, these circles of the medical report, second and third circle. First being immediate family, then second and third and greater community. The immediate response is primarily targeted at the first circle, with items where now for the second circle, which we are similar. So our current plans are to continue following up with immediate prevention support, and then start opening up behavioral health first aid style versus signs of suicide in VR. First, we're going to be trying to do it in-house, and then we're going to be similar town departments because we have an established vendor and logistical system for that have offered in the past. And operating wider on wider scales for the builders and restaurant association. Ideally, in time, so there'll be some educational opportunities when the summer season starts to lay down or to quiet down. And then hopefully opening up wider to the public on both basis in the fall and winter. The potential of a change is being examined very closely on a political level. I think there's also a staffing grant between us and McCabe and Martha's Vineyard, and include behavioral health immunologists working to look at this to see if there is a causal relationship or if this is the same sort of stochastic question we kind of past, as well as sort of getting eyes on any programs. So speaking out of turn and we're making sure that we're not contributing to the problem as opposed to solving.
I think that needs to be a PSA in the paper.
I think
Exactly everything you just said. So they know that the community at large, multiple facets, has responded to this and is there to respond to any particular type of crisis, no matter what it is. But I think the public doesn't see that.
No.
They need to know that that kind of coordination and setup is happening right now.
Jason and myself will be going on select board later today. Jason will be handling the majority of it, and if there's any questions about flyer response, I'll chime in for the plans.
Well, not everybody watches this, like, I have to be there, but not everybody watches the selectmen's meeting, but something on Nantucket Current,
No, and
things like that would get everybody thinking.
one of the things the MH cautioned us against.
Right.
And these things, there's what they term that finding phase that they're going through now, which is getting all of the information necessary to have an accurate and true story. So that there isn't a remote that fills it up. They cautioned us specifically to make sure we have all the ducks in a row and specifically, and then to do outreach. We've already moved to change the way that our landing page for behavioral health works. We've got, some, town, web applied stuff going on. We have plans for some physical media outreach, with different languages and places in the garden, or faithful places we identified as, places where people with demographic similarities to those affected will, see them, so that we have data, multiple languages, and physical media, and then hopefully we'll have ongoing events. Florencia was talking about working on some cross-cultural, events on the year, and hoping to try and get those co-branded and co-funded as we get outreach programs, so we have community building on top of educational opportunities. And because I think that is the core chunk of what's going on here, is that there isn't the shared sense of community across.
Is there a crisis counselor available at the school?
We have talked to Dr. Hallett. We do have, they have Fairwind's current staff is going in there, as they have been for a little bit. There are additional resources coming down from state. I think Department of Education has additional, people problem on that counseling. In addition, we have reached out to Pauline at our house. We're trying to schedule soon basic suicide programs there before they close for the summer. So we can send a touch base and drop off like referral materials. Kids will actually. None of the people directly impacted were youth, as we've been finding between 0 and 25, but there's always, children are always the most at risk in these sorts of situations, so there is significant thought to be done.
Well, they all know what happened,
Oh, yes, yeah.
and they, you know, they, at least all three of these people had some reach into that age group.
Exactly.
Because having two sons in high school, they are aware of this and they understand why.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and, you know,
But-
again, I don't think this meeting is the place for too much specific.
Not
discussion.
specific,
What's
right.
going on With those.
But what I was talking about, Jericho, was not this specific,
Oh, yeah.
this thing. What I was talking about was letting the public know what the framework is and what resources are available and who works together. And just what the response is without dealing with the specific situation, because every situation is going to be slightly different. Depending on the demographics, as you said, and who they impacted. This is the 26 to 30 group. I just want the public to know what resources are available and how they've come together. Because we have a crisis situation without being specific to that situation or that family. People need to know that there's all of these resources here
And that's,
that are working together. And the Catholic priest, I gotta give him props. The Catholic priest stepped in immediately. So we have the great guy at Episcopal. We have interims right now at our church in Congo. But the Catholic priest I spoke to someone in the family, and the Catholic priest was phenomenal with this family. So there's all these resources. Now, whether a person doesn't feel comfortable using all Fairwinds and all that, they can go to the minister, they can go to their priest.
that's what we've been trying to go around and also to develop is other partnerships. We're going to work with Tracy with some she's the IFC representative. Tracy Nicholas. We're reaching out to IFC and we've heard to start potentially offering these courses in church or faith-based settings.
Right.
I think, Linda, to your point, I don't think there could be too much information. There needs to be
Too much
there
information.
needs to be too much information because, there are, Fairwinds has been doing a fantastic job. You see their, things on the radio and in the newspaper, you see little things, but I think that there can't be too much. And that's part of, I think,
Right.
what we're doing here. So
Well, it was interesting because yesterday on Facebook, I know everybody's favorite. There was someone had started a conversation just about the topic of suicide and suicidality, and it got disappeared. And I was wondering if that was shut down just because they just didn't
site
want,
was this?
it was year round.
Yeah, she shuts all that stuff down. If you want to.
And it was not gossipy, it
No,
was.
but if you want to do that,
it
you
was
go to Wisconsin
informative.
Gazette, or you go to the other one, because she will shut down anything controversial or difficult on Nantucket Your Own community, because I've had this discussion.
And I think specifically.
So that's a specific moderator.
Yes, so you need to go, Wisconsin Gazette is where we free flow these discussions.
Since this specific topic runs up against the service rules for Facebook, it can also run up against
Moderator,
moderator issues, and then there is a genuine concern in some quarters about discussions of it and leading to ideation.
Which is
which is counter.
research wise
Doesn't work.
not valid, but,
Right,
and that was, I made one comment on it, which was that exactly, like, we need to talk about this. We need to, you need to say the words, you need to ask people, are you okay? Are you considering
you
something?
need to pay attention, which is what I said to the boys yesterday, some of them are mine.
And then.
You need to pay attention to each other, and you need to watch out
And ask.
for each other.
And ask.
And ask, and if you feel something, you need to say something. And they all understood that, but it's difficult. A conversation at 27, 26, 28, 29 years old to have that discussion. Because you don't want to embarrass them and you don't want to irritate people, and this is a very difficult age group.
Right.
The millennial group doesn't seem to have some of the coping skills that we grew up with. Or the, well, there's always sun, light at the end of the tunnel, I'll just pass and move on, I'll deal with it, I'll talk about it and I'll deal with it. This particular young group, because I've coached almost a lot of these kids, don't seem to have the coping skills. And the stamina and the ability to rationalize that a 10-second mistake can be the last mistake you make, as opposed to reaching out. And there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you will work it out, and it's not all doom and gloom, and it isn't going to be over, and the problem isn't going to get solved today. We got to get through it, we got to talk about it, work it out. And they, for some reason, don't seem to have those kinds of skills and those coping skills that the older, my 37-year-old does and my 46-year-old does, and we grew up with. It's just
It's
different.
the
with social
immediate
media.
it's the
Social
immediate
media.
gratification. We can get everything like this, so
Yeah.
if it doesn't come like this, it
It's
must,
over,
it's, yeah.
But I think it made,
The other two that.
no, but they had issues, both of them did.
Yeah, I think we should move on to our
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
But I just want the framework put out there so they know all these groups that are coming together in the face of a tragedy. Because the last comment I'll make on it is that there are several entry points into the healthcare system. And there'll be several entry points into seeking mental support, emotional support. It may not be fair ones. It may be the priest.
No.
It may be you. It may be the doctor. It may be there's multiple points of getting in. So people need to know what those multiple points are to enter the system where they are most comfortable entering the system.
A variety of approaches, a variety of supports, a variety of ways to connect to those. And a big part of the other half of the two-pronged response is getting a single, easy to digest location to give people in this system. Because we can train people about, we can train people to notice signs, but if we don't have references like tools or equipment, references or anything, give that resources that you got. We don't go into that.
Or even a
So-
trusted adult, for God's
Yeah.
sakes, is what I used to teach when I was at Safe Place, a trusted adult. Doesn't have to be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be anybody, a trusted adult is always going to be there for almost every kid on the planet, doesn't matter who it is.
One of the longer term responses I would like to be pushing for, and say, I don't know if you guys have seen Project Paperclip, or rather a safety plan.
Safety.
Sorry, a similar type thing, if people wear safety pins are identified. If you were in need of assistance for a bunch of different categories, find the same place to talk to. It's getting a bunch of behavioral health.
What's it called again? I've heard it.
These projects. Not Project Paper, but. very-
Right.
I think it's safety pin, isn't it? Isn't it safety pin?
Might be safety pin, yeah, sorry, it's safety pin. And then possibly trying to do a combination of trainings for people to deal with signs of suicide, signs of struggle, signs of distress, and then having a distributed network of people to refer to, refer back to, and then just get people that sort of last step between knowing they need to get help and connecting them with that help. Those are longer term things. Immediate response, we all want to do something, we actually have a thing to do, just get people trained, and understanding that these are resources that are available to them. And that is a solid evidence-based program, and I'm going to push it for us to get it out as much as we possibly can. Okay,
Why can't they apply for the grant?
I think somebody, I mean,
I mean, like through NAMI or somebody.
I think that's where I'm gonna be steering people, if not during this period and into the fall season.
Yeah.
But we do need to get
Okay,
a couple of things
All right.
out of this meeting. We need a next meeting. I would propose tentatively sometime around a week from now, we should be able to get the RFP ironed out during that time. I will try and meet with Brian. I will send 3 emails with the outputs of those meetings, as soon as I get them, so that we can discuss them. Emails, of course, have to be directly back to me by all. So the other thing I'd like to do is get some tacit approval, push back the timeline about 1 week, so that we'll release on the 21st. And then instead of collecting on, I believe we have the 17th. as the
your 17th is July.
We'll go for 24th of July. That's just me adding 7 to everything. Does that work out logistically in your guys' heads?
It does. I have really tight schedule next week,
Okay.
so I can't do anything Wednesday.
We could
Tuesday and Thursday are the best days.
Earlier in the day for me because I have HCC at 4 o'clock. And you have Mondays and holidays, so you've got to
Yeah.
file this
That's
tomorrow.
Oh.
You're going Tuesday.
We would have to do this, yeah, I think we should be able to square that away. The. I will not be able to do anything on Wednesday, the 21st myself. Other than that, afternoons, 22nd. Are fine. And I probably can get something on the 23rd.
I can't do it any later than noon on Thursday. I can,
So.
and I can do Tuesday after the CPC meeting. I can do noon on Tuesday.
So 2 proposals, meeting Tuesday, afternoon,
I-
Thursday.
I cannot.
I cannot Thursday afternoon.
Okay.
I could do Tuesday at noon. I could do Friday.
Joanna, what's your availability? Because that seems tightest.
I could do Thursday afternoon. I have an hour at 2 o'clock or an hour at 4 o'clock.
I can't do those. Can
I-
you do Tuesday at noon?
I
Or is that
can't, Tuesday's out.
Okay.
Let's propose Friday.
out?
Wait a second, I could do Tuesday at noon.
Okay, Tuesday at noon?
And that's okay with you as well, Sue?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you
But I
gotta get
have
it
only
posted
1
by-
hour.
I'm gonna
By
send
10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I'm sending Ann an email, first, but right now, actually.
So it's June
for sure.
20th at noon.
On Tuesday, I'm going to just duplicate the agenda from today's meeting
Okay.
with the dates changed. Just gonna get this email out now before anything else happens. Tuesday, the 20th at noon.
Yep.
Joanna, do you happen to have any information through Dorothy from Brian of what needed to be done because
I do, but none of it is very specific,
okay,
right? So I know that he was working on some things. There was something that came up though that I'm gonna try to remember what it was.
one of the things that Dorothy and I talked about after she had met with Brian is and we were gonna talk about it today, is inviting Brian to
Yes.
one of our meetings.
Yes.
To basically give us all an education on the process and et cetera, et cetera. as you said, it's the end of the fiscal year at this point, and I don't know if we'd be able to get him here in this round, but that I think is extremely important moving forward, and maybe in, you know,
It will happen before we start.
The next round,
cycle
right.
piece. I also, if we can't get Brian, I'll reach out and see if, he's Kellogg, who's the procurement specialist under him, can give us the clip notes. She does a lot of the back end work.
one of the things that, I do know is that the rubric that was developed last fall, whatever it was, some version of that is going to be attached to
Yes,
the RFP, but there's points that Brian wanted to be changed in it. Dorothy has that in her head at this point, and I'm not going to approach her for any of that. So,
I think we're gonna start over more or less with Brian. And I'll try and set up a meeting and include anyone. Well, I can include up to 2 people from this board on that. And then I think we absolutely all need to hear at some point before we start next, exactly, but all the stuff that Brian needs to tell us. Yes. And then we'll yeah, so I think it's realistic to push back a week. Assuming with
there was also some conversation about money at Fairwinds. There was some conversation about that, some money
money, like for,
that they're not going to use.
oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Something-
Just,
Yeah, what do we do with that? It's like 30 grand or something.
Yeah,
it was, they were, I think
it's half, I thought.
there was the tail end of the quarter four, they may not use in the buckets that they had allocated to. And then there was the recovery process, potentially putting it back in the pot for next year. If we get it to click into this, it'll be added to the CRC. It was under the CRC or the cannabis grant.
I don't remember.
It can go back into whichever fund it holds, which is potentially good because I do not know if we will have a cannabis grant next year. The regulations changed so that the Green Lady at least is renegotiating their own contract agreement. State law has prohibited a flat assessment of an impact cost based on revenue. So we were developing the impact cost for the town as a whole. So now we have to negotiate to see if we can get a voluntary contribution from at least the Green Lady. Initially, I think we will probably have a cannabis grant elected next year, but we'll have to do it slightly differently and we have to do it. It may look more like the sandbars.
But I feel like he knew what the number was, and I think he told Dorothy.
that's Brian knew the number.
Yeah.
for-
He knew the number for the cannabis, yeah.
Okay, so then that would mean this would be the last year of the last process. Well, this is one of the things I have to ask him separate from this. Whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
I'm happy to meet with you and Brian.
I think I could use an additional assistance, you're a lot more familiar with the financial side of things than I am.
and if there's two, I'd be happy to go there with you because
It would be
there's
good.
pieces that have to be put together.
So I will broach that tomorrow with Brian in an email. We will need to discuss with him to some extent what the RFP is gonna look like, before next.
I believe that we're also going to have to vote on this Fairwinds thing. But I think we need to,
Accepting the money back.
well, and what we're going to agree to do is it. Because I think they have proposed something and I'm
Yeah.
not sure, I think that we have a choice. I'm not sure exactly how that will play out, but we need to clarify that.
Okay. So
So who is taking the minutes?
normally, Anne, I have. a thing. Let's get a quick one together.
I don't want to talk about too much stuff that's not on the agenda.
Yeah, no, and I think we're largely,
We're still on agenda items because we're talking about the RFP
yeah,
and the RFEI, so we're still good.
so,
Let's just write them down. I'll do this.
Okay.
So the first thing is we are meeting with Brian. We need clarification.
RFP rubric. And MOU requirement. I think that's it. Oh, yeah, that's it. Then,
RFP rubric,
and MOU requirement, like how he wants us to phrase partnership for the contract. And then quarterly reporting for this grant. Will, like, because we were saying we were gonna have monthly meetings, but we're seeing this.
yep,
And then, how that gets phrased in the contract specifically might be something, let's say this trouble.
wait a second.
The request-
So we agree that the next meeting is on the 20th.
20th at noon. At noon.
Here
Yeah.
in this room.
Is it
Yes,
possible?
yes, it will do, I'll get the request in. At worst case, it will be hybrid, let us assume. I've never seen all of these rooms use.
Jericho to post this by when?
10 tomorrow.
Or Ann.
Yeah, I've got the request in and I'll touch base with her about tomorrow, which gets in.
And confirm with the committee.
I will email a confirmation out.
Okay, then we're going to invite Ryan to meet with us going forward.
Right.
Then we're going to schedule a meeting with Ryan. That will have to be next week.
He won't do it before the end of the, no.
We won't be
Fiscal
able
year.
to because
We can't get
we're meeting on Tuesday, Monday is a holiday.
No.
So we
Well,
will not, what we'll have to do is we're gonna have to. Bang together the basics for the narrative questions of the RFP, then bring those to Brian next week after the meeting. That's like. Because we're not gonna get a meeting with Brian. Within the next 3 or even 2.5 days, probably not this thing. I will email him some questions and see if we can get some quick response on.
you're going to so you will email and get clarification. The RFP rubric and the MOU requirement, and then quarterly reporting for the 175.
Mhm.
Can you send the committee the current RFP that we're using so that we can be prepared?
The one
Yes,
from the CRC last year.
yeah,
I will throw, and then all of the documents that come up, I'm gonna throw in that SharePoint. I shared all of the RFPIs that come in, the draft RFP, all of that stuff, all the way right there. So as it changes, there'll be those current ones up. I'm gonna set it so that everyone has edit or comment abilities. If anyone pops in there and wants to make any edits or changes, just click on the comment button. And you can put any revisions you want in, and then out of the revisions.
Okay, so the RFP will not be ready to be released until it'll be in the paper on the 29th then
Yeah,
of June.
yeah.
Okay, so we have next week to get this done, get this together.
I'm also writing Jericho to clarify the fair winds.
Yeah, so I have that, I pulled up that request, it's the same request that they had last year, they would like to transfer. This year's allocation from one bucket to another, I think they wanted to translate it from sliding scale to translation services. I'm gonna.
So what year money is that?
This would be current fiscal year, their last report.
23.
FY 23 from one bucket. And I'll get the specific request and I'll email that out. You guys can email me individually a yay or a nay on the proposal as I write it. And then we'll just ratify that at the next meeting, just so that I can get the information to Fairwinds.
So that has to be on the agenda.
Because final day for all that stuff.
So now we're saying that the RFP will be ready to be posted on the 29th.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Okay, why don't we do this next? So, Linda, what is your email?
Yeah, use that one, ACK. CZ. ARINA. One, just the number one, at gmail.com. So it's axarena1@gmail.com.
I think that's what I've been using.
Yeah, because Comcast, I got some big large plans. It just keeps
Okay.
shutting me down.
Sue, what is your email?
ms.doucet@gmail.
So here is,
Just then we're all getting the same information.
here's the full text of the,
Veronica, what's your email?
My last name, so VBOLCIK,
I'm sorry, wait a second, tell me this again.
V for Veronica, and then my last name, B as in boy, OLCIK @gmail.
the full text of the request from Fairlands. I would like to reallocate funds from psychiatry to sliding fee scale and translation. We're not know exactly how much in any of the order, but I would like to ensure that I'm not doing this in the last minute like I did last year. So I will send the request for the specific estimates. We can approve that to transfer funding from the psychiatry budget to the sliding fee scale and translation, all for a contract year 27. It's not a change in the total amount of allocation. It's just where they're applying in which particular budget item.
So 23 to 23.
Yeah, it would be not crossing over a year. It would not change our allocation for next year from them. Require a great coverage.
Didn't we have this conversation
Yes.
already? It's
Yes.
deja vu.
So I don't like this idea. I don't think it's a good
Is
practice.
this on the agenda?
This is on the agenda because this was other business nights getting 30 hours ago. I got the vote from Christie.
I'm not comfortable talking about this and that, the merits of it then, until it's posted on the agenda on Tuesday.
Okay,
I think that's fine.
We can't do that on other business.
Not about the merits, just on the history of this as a preface for discussion in the next meeting. Is that we have done this for several other organizations. As long as it was prepped ahead of time. Last year it was too late, not through the fault of Fairwinds, through the fault of myself. So this year, the request, I can understand why it would, why it bugs you. It should be kind of built into their proposal. But if it's consistent over a couple of years, maybe we just grant it this time and ask them to consider this issue in their next year's application. But we can return to that when we discuss the merits of the problems of that proposal. All right, so we're looking at 20th as the next meeting. The topic will be hopefully the completed narrative portion of the RFP and whatever we learn about the contract language and rubric. We will adopt that. We'll adopt that on the 20th, then we will see what Brian adds to it on the contractual law side. And then we can aim to publish that on, you said the 27th, correct?
No, 29th.
9.
Oh,
That's Thursday is the 29th, so I don't know what the deadline is. The deadline is 27,
Monday at noon.
Monday at noon, the 26th.
They'd like to get them on Friday.
If it's for an advertisement, which is usually how we run these notifications, you can get it as long as it's Tuesday morning.
They
Okay, but
would rather
say-
not, because
Yeah.
Kevin's not there anymore to sort of run interference. He left.
Worst case is I can blackmail you. I know so much, I have so much hurt on it.
So we would realistically.
This
would
call
have
is
it done-
being recorded.
Right. Have it done by the afternoon of the 23rd then.
At the latest.
And what I would do then is I would send it out to you guys And then if anything jumps out on you on the narrative, on the first full read through, we'll get that revised as quick as possible and then have that all good to go. Because all we need in the paper, we need the finished RFP as it will be adopted. The contract language in the RFPs is always draft, so we have wiggle room. As long as that narrative and most of the contract language is set, we're okay to release the RFP. They're okay to fill it out. We did only get 6 technically expressed interest. I received RFPs from 4. There are 2 agencies with an RFP that are incoming.
So
or-
you're talking about the
RFP.
RFP. Right,
Not acronyms.
so you have received how many?
I have received 4 agencies and then there's a sports agent, no, I'm sorry, 5 now. Andrew got his one in Monday. So I think we have 4 or 5 of those plus a budget, and then 2 other organizations expressed interest but have not given the actual papers yet. Right.
So Jericho
Said
has
they were gonna
received
wait for the RFP.
5, Jericho has received 5 proposals.
Yeah.
And interest from 2 other organizations or individuals.
Organizations, I believe they were all,
Okay. And you're gonna send this to us?
yeah, I already have, the link should be out to you guys.
Right.
The SharePoint link with everybody, I will send you.
Yesterday.
It saves me an enormous amount of
I know.
time doing revisions and make sure it's on the same, like you may end up with out-of-date documents if you go that way. I'm happy to send them to you. I just can't promise they're gonna be something.
Send me the link and I'll see if I can get there. My computer doesn't like certain things.
Let me see if I can. too.
So I successfully printed the first 4.
When was this sent?
Yesterday,
Are we still having?
yesterday or Monday?
Should have been yesterday or Monday. I think it was yesterday. There was a reminder email. This was just a link too. I sent it. I'm pretty sure I sent it to your Gmail account. And then I sent you another email because I wasn't sure if they were going through and I sent it straight to I think Jim Ryan.
Yeah. It was yesterday. And it says RFEI repository.
Yep.
And actually, I don't see Joanna on that list. Nope.
I didn't get it.
No. Joanna. And actually, this is. I sent it to.
Oh, did I send this?
You as said it to CHS. That's why Sue, you have it and I have it. He sent it to,
Let me send another round.
It went to the other folks. Okay.
and they're probably saying, gee, why am I getting this? I saw Amanda Wright on there and I said, oh, well, you know, she's been in our meetings, so maybe, you know, but, okay. You're not losing your mind, Joanne.
Well, you might be, but this isn't. ethics.
I also sent you the
Grant opportunity.
grant opportunity. So if you would send that, I don't want to send that to everybody.
You
Yeah.
can't.
So if you can, that would be
I will.
great.
I'm gonna send out the link to everybody.
I have to go in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we can. Um, Okay, just double check that you got that, because I do not trust our emails back and forth. And I'm going to forward. for, grant opportunity. Arms.
Just came through.
Okay. Apologies for that. Okay. All right, we are at 3:58. We have our timeline. And we have
I
our
got it.
action list.
Let's make sure I can open this.
And make sure, click on one of the documents just to make sure I have the access, right? It should be if everyone gets that.
Yeah, and what you do, you put your email and then you get an email with an access code.
This one should be, you should be, able-
It was easy. It was,
yeah, like, all you gotta do is click on it.
I saw the flip phone people.
okay.
Took me forever to figure out how to talk to my daughter in Australia on Skype. Oh. And my brother in Portugal on Skype.
You need to get one of these.
One of my, all my clients lined up to buy me the very expensive Samsung.
Oh, get it on.
Okay, so they get you.
It's $1,200. It's a regular one of those, but it does this and I can flip it.
I keep looking at yours going, do you love it?
You,
But it is sitting on my
But
counter in a
also-
box intimidating me, where it will remain for now.
I'm also, yeah.
The library does wonderful things occasionally on introducing you to.
All my clients are lined up to teach me how to use it.
Right.
I also do a monthly tech clinic down in Salt Marsh. It's interesting.
Oh, well, I'm gonna bring you my little $1,200.
There you go.
Right on it.
I'm surprised I didn't have 20 of them, except that one of them told everybody else he's getting it.
All right,
I don't want emails out there.
Let's take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Joe, if you want to send me those minutes, I'm.
I'm going to do that.
I'm gonna go to the selectmen's meeting, so I had it prepare.
Is it 5 or 5:30?
5:30.
5:30.
Okay, I sent everybody here.